movie, right?
Fourth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fourth, except we're missing one.
Yes.
Our beloved leader.
Our director's not here. He's great at these things too. It's too bad.
He's sad. That's sad.
Answers all the technical questions. You have no clue.
Absolutely not.
That's all right. You know where it's going to be great. So, as per usual, I'm going to hit you guys each individually about something else that's not corn. And then we'll move on from there, huh? Okay, so, Mr. Franklin, starting with, you should be, you know, starting with you. You have a history of playing costumed characters, such as, you know, Cousin Ed. But can you please tell me about Kids Incorporated, where you played a leprechaun and an alien, I think.
Yes.
Right?
I just read Kids Incorporated, and the first episode I did, I was a space alien, and I kidnapped Fergie, so when she was a little girl, she was on the show. That was that. And then they liked me so much, they're like, can you sing? So I went over to a piano, and they're like, okay, boom, 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 boom. And this is before auto-tune also. So I sang Stuck on You. So they had me do a leprechaun who wants to be a rock star. I was only one of two people that have ever got to sing with the kids on stage in the show and stuff like that. So I sang Stuck on You and some other shows like songs like that. But it was a lot of fun. And then as we're doing my makeup, going, this is, no, wait, why are you putting all this mascara and eyeliner? I'm like, no. So at one point they had like a silver glove, and I did kind of Michael Jackson dance and stuff like that. It's all on YouTube for free. Watch it all.
That was one of my favorite childhood shows. I loved it so much. So yeah, that was fun to revisit. Mr. Philbin?
Yes.
It is the 4th of July weekend.
That's correct.
Or should I say July 3rd weekend. You, of course, were a part of The Living Dead.
Yes.
Can you share your experiences on that?
I mean,
The entire thing.
All of
my
it. All of it.
experiences on Return of the Living Dead. I'll just talk about when Linnea Quigley Trash took her clothes off and danced in the cemetery, and I had the music, and you know she just blew us away. I mean, we hadn't ever seen anything like that. You know, we didn't rehearse it. Have you guys seen Return of the Living Dead? Oh, next year's the 40th anniversary. There was a writer's strike going on. We were very lucky to be working. James Cairn, just a gentleman, was like, we're working, you know, we were so excited. But at night, when she took her clothes off and she was wearing something down there so that it wasn't too explicit, something that fits inside of her or something. Covers her up, so she looks like a Barbie doll. And we were like, I just remember like, okay, the cameras are on, and I'm looking at her, and I should be like familiar with this, because I say Trash is taking her clothes off again. I guess this is something she did a lot. My face is like, what is that? What am I looking at? It's just kind of embarrassing for me. I thought, oh wait, that's not cool. But whatever, that's real. That was a look of total bewilderment. And that was fun. And also, one more thing about Return of the Living Dead, when you take a job as an actor, if you get rained on in the first scene and the rest of the movie takes place at night, you're going to get hosed off before every scene by a PA. Hosed down. Are they wet enough? One more. Okay, that's good. Every scene. Okay, that's nice now.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Mr. Gaines.
Yeah.
Hey, we've already talked about diagnosis murder.
Yeah.
Can't remember what I talked about 3 days ago. It's all blur.
Yeah, me too.
But you are also a part of one of my very favorite episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, yeah.
House of Horrors, I believe it's called.
Right.
Can you share your experiences on that?
Yeah, well, the first thing was Bob Gale directed the episode. Bob Gale wrote Back to the Future, so that's kind of how I got offered that gig. Super nice guy. It was fun to work on. I just remember the biggest thing was, these frat dudes, you know, they make these guys go through their fraternity stuff, and they ended up actually being really bad girls at the top waiting for them, which we didn't know. But remember the one that was like an arm flies out. I was supposed to think it's fake. So I'm like, oh, that's real. I'm like, ah! That was like my big moment.
Yeah.
Those are hard moments actually to make shit like that, to be honest. But it was a good experience. I think maybe the funniest story would be Matt Dillon's brother, right?
Kevin?
Yeah, he came from New York and there was a warrant out for him, so he got arrested. I think the second day he was there.
What?
They found his ass. I don't know how they found him. That's why we had to go get him out of jail. So and there you go. Kevin Dillon's story.
That is good. Wow.
Okay, that is probably going to be the most interesting story I've heard. We'll hear all weekend.
I don't know. It's pretty good too.
You didn't turn him in, did you?
Not me. I didn't. I had no idea I had a warrant out. But it's funny when these kind of things happen. I did this movie of the week once with a guy who did the classic throw the television out of the 11th floor. I think him arrested his ass too.
So how long had the warrant been out for Kevin?
I have no idea.
How long had he been running from
Yeah,
law?
I don't know. He might have had some party, some
Right, he
speeding
probably-
ticket. And he was like, I'm not coming back to LA. You know, screw them, right?
He
But,
probably didn't even know, like,
I don't know.
yeah, wow, what a story. And that, I should say, that episode, if you haven't seen it, season 4 or 5, I can't recall, had like an all-star cast of young people, who was who.
That's true.
You were one of them.
Yeah, there was like good people. Will Wheaton, right?
Yeah.
There was like good people.
Was Keith Coogan in that one?
Yes, he was,
And
yeah.
then, so many. Yeah. Do we have any besides, did you turn him in?
Are you a snitch? Snitches get stitches.
You're like, if I did, I would not admit it.
That's true too.
Did you ever figure out who came in your burrito?
Woo! So the question was, I never figured out who came in my burrito. I did an episode of Sunny in Philadelphia. That was like my one line, but it was a very memorable one. My kid loves that show, and he saw that line. He literally fell on the floor and laughed for like 5 minutes. So. I always seem to get those lines people remember. I don't know how, but so yeah, it was the dude. It was the other dude. He's notorious. You can't trust him.
So you guys have had a very, very long, thankfully, career. You have so much to your catalogs. Looking back on the beginning, the first few projects, whatever those might be, Corn.
First for all of us, yeah.
What advice would you give your younger selves to help you deal with those first experiences on screen?
Save your money. After Corn came out, I didn't work for months. And I thought, oh, this is easy money. I'm gonna go over and buy new furniture for my apartment and buy a Toyota Celica, and, down payment. I'm like, no.
They call it the classic rookie move, like if somebody gets a series and then it goes the next year, everybody shows up with a new car, and then the show gets canceled, and then, it's like the classic.
Is that an actor superstition? Like, okay, no one buy a new car.
No, I'm telling you, especially like a series. If the series gets bigger for next year, everybody shows up with a new car.
Yeah.
They think they're going to be on the show for like 10 years.
Right, and then it gets canceled.
And then it gets canceled, yeah. It's like the classic.
We shouldn't do that. We should wait till year 3 at least.
Right. So that is good advice.
Yeah.
How about you, Philman? Any
Yeah,
advice?
save your money. That's the best. I just spend it all. Oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Because when you're starting out and you get a job and you join the union and you got some movies, you're going to do that for the rest of your life.
Tell your per diem story.
I got Children of the Corn, and they gave us an envelope called per diem, which I like. What is this? It's extra money to buy food with, really, right?
Yes.
It's what you eat,
days off.
how you eat if you're not on the set. I was never on the set. I was only on the set like 3-4 days, right? So I go to the mall, buy a leather jacket, a cowboy hat, like boots. I'm mall shopping, like. And they said to me when I get back, I was so proud and so naive. Look what I got. They're like, dude, you should save your per diem. I'm like, why? Because you might not be getting it every week. And I just thought, oh, I'm gonna get this every week for the rest of my life. And it didn't happen. I don't know what happened to that leather jacket, those boots, that hat.
Really?
I mean, just consumption, like, as if money's like, I didn't really understand the value. Look, we were making our dreams come true. It was dreaming.
Yeah.
We were idealistic, and we were lucky. We were fortunate.
Very
But yeah,
lucky.
the money thing is an intelligent older person going, you should save this money. Also, the best advice for if you're starting out, if you get to be in a movie, is steal your wardrobe, take a bunch of props.
Yeah,
That's true, actually.
The last day of corn shooting, they said, "Do you want this costume and the hat?" I'm like, "You get this stuff at Goodwill or something like that. I don't want this crap." And now I think the hat, I don't know how they authenticated it, but it sold for like over $10,000 in an auction online. So how do they prove that it was mine? I don't know.
I did keep my shirt, and I put it in an auction for a theater company I was involved in. I don't remember what, it wasn't 10 grand, I can tell you that. But yeah, so yeah, I wish I kept a lot of stuff for projects that I'd worked on, that's for sure. I don't know exactly how to say give myself advice, but I think the thing that I wasn't mentally prepared for, particularly when Children of the Corn came out, was just all the crazy reactions. Like, you know, kids would see me and go crying to their parents. I'm not kidding. Like, it was, and I was not, that was you. You saw me when
I was terrified of you for some reason. I actually met you a few years ago and I told you that story.
Right.
It
And
just
so
seemed like the meanest, badass guy that you didn't want to cross paths.
I just wasn't prepared for the, you know, what happens when you get recognized. You sort of get in the bubble. And, you know, big stars can't go anywhere without that. You know, I'm glad we're not, honestly, I'm glad I'm not that famous in terms of I can still go out to a restaurant or something, because once you get to that point, you just can't do anything. Like, you're just, it's like you're not in the world anymore. It's kind of hard to explain. So that, I would have somehow tried to warn myself that, like, this is going to be really overwhelming once people start recognizing you. So that's it for me. 'Cause I'm just not comfortable with that stuff at all.
For you two, how did you deal with the popularity of the film when it came out, and did you get recognized like Courtney did?
Yes, there's also, I was at an elevator in the building going wherever, and this woman saw that she got on, saw me, and jumped off. She was not beyond the elevator. There's a restaurant called Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood, and I was there with friends after the movie had opened. We're just eating lunch or whatever, and a woman with her party of 6 or whatever across the way sees me. That boy's so scary! And she made the maitre d' move for her entire party of 6 or 7 to another table on the other side of the restaurant. She would not be there. So again, it's like, and I did an episode of Highway to Heaven, where I played a mentally handicapped runaway. It's very sad and touching. It's actually my favorite thing that I've ever
He's very good at
it. But if people would, in a mall or wherever would see me, I could just know what they saw. They were like either, or, so, okay, I know what they recognize me.
I think I already said it. What's the question?
Did you get
No,
recognized?
I don't ever get. I only get recognized from a surf movie I did,
Okay.
and never from
What
children's.
surf movie? What was that called?
It's called North Shore.
North Shore, yeah. You ever heard
I
that?
did a surf movie that became a cult classic movie in the surfing community. The surfing community is a very small group of people. It's tiny. It's not like horror or westerns. But when I go to a surf community, people call me by my character's name. And I found that to be very disturbing. For 10 years, maybe 15. I was like, don't call me that. Don't call me Turtle. The guy's name is Turtle. Now, 25, 35 years later, I'm stoked when I hear someone say, call me by my character's name, because it means that it made an impact on them. I'm an actor who someone knows my character's name from a movie. And that now makes me proud. But if you asked me 10 years ago, I would be like, you gotta stop calling me Turtle. Like, now I'm proud of the nickname. It's a surfing thing, but it's an actor thing, because a lot of actors get offended when fans call them by their character's names. They're totally offended. They're like, I'm not that guy, like I'm a human being, whatever. You hear it from everyone, Spock, whatever. I'm not Spock. I am Spock. But after it comes around, you're just proud to have been in a movie where people know your character's name. And I've only done that with The North Shore, surf movie, Universal Studios, 1987.
Shameless plug, check it out,
Yeah.
and then start calling him Turtle.
Right. Yeah, it'd be great.
Call him Turtle.
Because he loves it.
From now on, I'm just going to call you Turtle.
Okay.
Okay. So you talked briefly about the clothes that you kept. In my podcast, when we cover a movie, every episode there's a segment we do called Fashion Moment. Do you guys have any notable fashion moments from Children of the Corn? Doesn't have to be your own. Fashion moment.
I do.
Yeah.
Should I start?
Yeah, take that one, please.
Okay, Children of the Corn, my first movie I ever did. Flashdance had come out that year. I carve a pentagram in my chest and go out to this field, and I've got this shirt, and I'm unbuttoning it pretty much as far as I can and still get away with it. And the wardrobe department's going, you know, don't put it all off your shoulder. I went, yeah, it's off my shoulder. Because Flashdance, the girl, had a thing off her shoulder, and I thought that was a hit movie, and I had been working out, doing push-ups and sit-ups. I was like, yeah, the thing's off my shoulder. I totally was flash dancing in that scene. That was a full-on, prescient fashion moment for my first movie.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Can any of you pass up this flash dance wardrobe?
Not a chance.
I got nothing for wardrobe.
Come on.
Nothing what? I can't even think of what we could possibly talk
The
about
nice belt, the
wardrobe.
high waist.
The high waist,
Oh,
yes.
High waist.
Yeah, high waters, that's true. The cool boots, I like the boots.
Boots. Yep.
And of course, the hat is iconic. That's cool.
Very iconic.
For sure.
I bought a similar one at Party City for $5.
Sold it for 10 grand now.
Do you cosplay as yourself?
No. I did answer the door at a couple Halloweens in a row with the fake hat at Party City, and only the adults got it. The kids are like,
Master Cordian's, like, what was your experience like making the Burbs?
So the question was, what was my experience like making the Burbs? So the first thing was, as he was talking about when he was doing his, there was a writer's strike. So I was too young to really realize, I'm like, I work all the time, what's the problem? And I didn't have a mortgage and kids and all those things. Now this last strike, I could totally relate. So it was only us and Fletch 2 on the entire Universal lot. So that was just, I mean, that's a big lot. You're done the tour and all that. And we shot nights, so we literally pretty much had the place to ourselves sort of. So that was very kind of weird. It was an amazing experience. The biggest challenge for me, quite frankly, was, you know, I'm supposed to be this guy, a stranger from a strange land. Everywhere I looked were people that I watched growing up. You know what I mean? That I really, a lot of them I really admired too. And that was the big thing, to like going, I don't know these people. But it was a very good, you know, Tom Hanks is the most down-to-earth A-list actor out there as far as I'm concerned. And when you have that, then nobody else can act like a weenie, you know, because your top guy is chill. So, you know, and Joe Dante as a director, he's a really nice guy and very supportive. It's on when you have a director that he feels really engaged and laughing, and you know, he really bolsters your confidence, and he did that. He made almost all the choices with that character he made too, which is kind of rare. Like he was like, go get this terrible haircut, come back, let me see it. Go get these teeth made, come back, let me see it. Take this swath of clothing, go have them make it. And then I had to keep coming back, like everything, you know, when there's the word, you know, when he started laughing, he goes, you're never gonna work again, you're never gonna work again. He's a great guy. So it was a really good experience.
I have a question for you about the Burbs.
Okay, another Burbs question?
Another Burbs question.
Yeah.
Was that all yours?
Yeah, so it was. That's about as much as I could grow at that age. But what they did was they took this stuff called spirit gum, which is like hairspray, like on crack, you know, and then they just like comb it out, like so it would just like stand up, you know. Yeah, that was pretty fun. That was my best Elvis right there. I think.
Do we have any more Burbs questions?
General question.
Okay.
So each of you have done a lot of both movies and television. Regarding like preparation for or the experience of, do you have a preference of what medium you like doing?
Did everyone hear that question? The question was, we've done a lot of TV and film. What's, you know, is there a difference, and what's your preference?
Take that if you want.
Actually, I love theater the best because it's live, it's immediate, you're getting immediate feedback and reaction from the audience. And if it's children's theater, the kids are either screaming, boo, right? You know, they hate you, I'm Rumpelstiltskin, I'm evil, you know, or
Very melodrama, right?
yeah, exactly. But TV is faster, obviously. You know, like to guest star and, you know, various things, you know, Chicago Hope, Hybrid Heaven, many other things. But it's like you're there for 7 to 8 days, and it's like boom, boom, boom. And whereas film, I mean, with Addams Family, both Addams Family movies, it was just like so boring. They're paying you well and good money, and that's the thing. With film, you get more money because it's a longer period of time. Sometimes you just sit there and they call you in at 7 a.m. and you're sitting in your trailer for 8 hours, and then the assistant director comes by and says, "Oh, we don't need you today after all, thanks." I'm like, okay, well, you got paid, but it's still like, So we learned, my writing partner and I, who wrote Children's Board number 6. So he would come to my trailer, and we just started writing and utilizing that time instead of just sitting there sleeping or reading a book. So it worked out okay.
Okay, I didn't get to do a lot of TV, and so I like to criticize it. Film is so much better, but if I could talk to myself, 40 years ago, I'd go, "Hey, man, you should try to get on a TV series," But I always poo-pooed it, because when I did a couple films first, or 3 or 4 films right out of the gate, and people would make fun when the director had to move really fast because we're losing the lives or something. People would go like, "This is like TV," and I'd be like, "Oh, TV's bad." But I don't think it is. I watch TV now and I'm like, "This is fucking brilliant." Like, this is streaming shit, But back when we were coming up, film was the thing to be in. You take your time, there's a lot of waiting, but they really take their time. And then some guy told me when I was doing TV, I got lucky to get a TV job after I was doing, I'd done a couple films, and then I wasn't in a film, and I'd be lucky to get a TV job. And I would be, working on the subtext, and the director, "Hey, there's no subtext in TV." I'm like, "What?"
Subtext is what you're thinking inside.
Yeah.
What's going on in your mind.
He goes, "There's no subtext. You mean exactly what you say. You say that line the way we have it written. Don't change a word. And that's what you mean. You're just a talking head in TV. Whereas in film actors, they're like, "Well, I'm using the tree behind me. See that tree about 100 yards away? I'm using that like as a hanging tree." They're like, "Oh, that's an interesting choice. You don't have to tell me that, John." But yeah, so I always thought film was just much deeper and more, artistic. But I don't agree with that now anymore.
Well, it's changed. I agree. When we came out, film was the thing to do. Really, in some ways, Back to the Future, we could really kind of cite that as when there was a switch, because that was the first time a TV actor came to a film and it was like, and then just exploded, and it kind of changed the game. But nowadays TV is much better, and the reason is that the writers figured it out. If they sell a script, a movie script, and then after that they have no control. But if they're the executive producer on a television show, they create all of what's happening, and everything's catered to that writer's vision. So all the best writers now are in television. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. So it definitely shifted. And I kind of missed that boat too. I was kind of stuck into like, I'm a film actor. But that being said, I did at some point pivot to doing a lot of guest stars, and sort of as a transfer from when I was younger to a more adult work. And TV is really fast. If you're doing a really good film, they'll let you rehearse where they haven't blocked the scene yet, right? So like we can just get on the stage and do some shit, and if they're really good, they're go, "Okay, we'll shoot it like this, we'll light it like this," like, "Thank you, come back," and you have a lot more physical freedom. In television, they have no time for that. You walk in, they go, "Walk here, say this, sit down." So you don't, it's a little more confining. But that being said, some of the best roles I've ever done have been guest stars in television. I've got, just talking about that Diagnosis Murder I did. There was a guy who was paralyzed on his left side, pretending to have cerebral palsy on his other side. Now I had a week to prep something like that. And then and he's always been very complimentary to the Criminal Minds I did a few years ago. That was a very complicated character. And as you're right, a lot of times it's just straight, they mean what they say, but this dude was like, is he having a PTSD moment here? Is he hallucinating over here? It was very complex. But TV, you just move really fast. So you better make your choices and you better just go for it, because you're not going to get a lot of takes. And so you better be ready to go.
Doing TV when it is moving fast like that, and you make your choice and you go for it, do you ever get the direction not that way?
You get sometimes in television like you're doing too much, because they don't like you to. One theory is they don't like you smoking the leads on the show, which I hate to say I will do. And two, sometimes it's just the tone of the show, especially like some of those procedurals and things, are just they want flatness. Nowadays, a lot of the stuff you watch, it's like they literally almost want you to do nothing. Just say the line like, and don't move your face, don't do
Just
anything.
say the words.
And I'm just like, oh my, come on, man. Like, I'm from a different, I'm from a different generation and a different skill set. I just can't really work like that, you know?
A little story about direction from Michael Landon when I did the Highway to Heaven. It was like 7 or 8 days, and on like day 3 or 4, he's just like giving me blocking notes. And I said, Michael, I said, is there any character notes or anything like that you want? He's like, if there was anything that I could possibly improve in your performance, I would let you know.
Wow.
Keep going. So that was a beautiful, wonderful thing. Later on, he put me in, he submitted my episode for an Emmy nomination. I didn't get it, but it was just very nice. And before he passed away, he said, out of Highway to Heaven, that was one of his favorite top 10 episodes, which is very nice.
Yeah,
And he let me come in a couple times to pitch ideas for more future episodes as a writer. So that was cool. He didn't have to do that.
Cool guy.
I already said my piece, remember? Great question.
It was so memorable.
What?
Have you ever,
So memorable, she forgot.
have you ever gotten the direction after you do your thing not that well?
Oh, yeah.
In TV.
Yes. Here's another problem. So I'd been in a couple of movies and I thought I was a big shot. And then I got a TV show, I think it was Law and Order or something, or Wise Guy up in Seattle. I don't know if you guys know Wise Guy.
Yeah.
You know, guest star. And then I have to come back and loop it for TV, where, you replace the dialogue, you watch your performance, and then, you replace the dialogue in a studio, soundstage. And Dick Wolf was there, I think.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's what
Just a little pressure.
He's like, no, say it like this. And I was like,
Oh.
what? He goes, this
Oh.
is, this is how we want to say it. And I was like, let's go again. And I just I would just try to do something other than that, because he was giving me a line reading.
Which is kind of a no-no, but
Back in the 80s,
but you
that
are
was-
Dick Wolf, who like runs like 20 shows, but
Yeah, in the
it's still
80s,
kind of something.
I'm a film thing, and I'm like, that's the line, And I'm passive aggressive, and I'm super cocky, and I'm just keep doing this. No, do it like this. I was like, let's go again, and I would do it my way. How's that? That's not what we want. It's like, because we want you to do it like this. And I said, well, you're not going to get me to do it that way.
And he never worked again.
The Dick Wolf, I
I
get.
never want to do it again. And I realized Dick Wolf has a lot of power.
Oh, yeah.
And
But
many
at the
shows.
time, it was such an insult to me. Now, if I'm doing an independent film or something, which I just started doing, and I'm like, like, what is this? Like, I'll immediately go to someone, what is this? Will you do this line for me? They'll do it, and I'll go, okay, I'm going to do my version of that line. Like, now I'm all about line reading. I think it's the greatest thing ever. I can't wait to do a line reading. Back then in the 80s, it was like a sin.
No, John, say it like it's a sin.
Hey, there you go.
See how easy that was? I wish I would have had someone on my shoulder going, see how easy that was, John? Like, you want to work again?
That question really opened up a whole can of worms.
Yay.
Good job. No, good job. Good
I
question.
got us all
Really good.
excited. The juices are flowing.
Do you have any behind the scenes of Children of the Corn or outtakes that didn't really come into the movie?
Well, my favorite story about that is, so the first day I shot was when I first came out of the cornfield and they hit the kid.
Yeah.
And so this is my first day of shooting, so I had no idea how anything goes. Well, they snuck the kid under the sheet, and when she came, he jumped out and scared the shit out of her for real. Still the best joke I've ever seen on a movie. I thought this is how all movies are shot at all times. This was my first thing. But she jumped 10 feet back and cussed the director out in a row. Linda Hamilton was super nice, but it was still the greatest prank I've ever been part of.
I'm a child of the 80s, and I was raised watching this, renting the tape and watching it a million times. How did you guys get onto this film? And was this the first thing you ever did?
First thing I ever did, yes. I was cast in another movie called Grandview USA, and I had 6 weeks before I had to show up on location. My agent, Steve Donko at the time, sent me into this casting director, Linda Francis, and Jeff Greenberg. And he said, you've never been in a film before, John. You should do this little horror film before you do this fancy, special movie that you're going to do. That's going to change the world. And you're going to be brilliant. And I was like, cool, okay, you sure? Because it's like a horror movie, Yeah, but it's Stephen King. but you need to film, you need the practice of working in front of the camera. Trust me, it's a good idea. So I went in there, met him. I'm totally stoked about this next movie I'm doing. I'm kind of got a buzz about myself because of that. I'm so precious and special. And I do it. The director looks at it. He looks at a bunch of us. And the casting director goes, this guy's going to do something after this. It's really, he's going to be in other movies. He's hot right now. So I got the job. First movie I ever got, Children of the Corn. So when they film it, I was talking to John, I think, on the set once before. I was totally posing. He doesn't remember. I was a poser. I've been a poser all my life. But I get this part, and I'm like doing push-ups and sit-ups, and then I carve my chest. The very first scene I do in a movie is I carve my chest. Director comes in before the shot, and he's like, I've never seen an actor do more sit-ups and push-ups in my life. I said, I have my shirt off in the next scene, it was, and in my face, in terms of research, blank. Fear. I'm just like, cameras make a noise. It's my line. I know it. I know the line there. But I made that choice for that character because he's gonna kill himself, basically, and I just thought he'd be so scared and zombied out trying to, put up a good face. But it wasn't until I went
Taking one for the team, right?
It wasn't until I went into the cornfield, you were there, and it was night, and there was fog, it was freezing fucking cold, and there were kids, and there was lights. That was a powerful, magical scene for me, and that was when I first went, this movie, I think, it is super powerful. That's my opinion.
I'm originally from the south suburbs of Chicago, and I just moved out to LA to become a sitcom movie star, or not a movie star, but be on a sitcom. I wanted to do comedy. So I got an agent right away because I was over 18 and looked 12 or 13, and they really wanted that, especially on a low budget movie like Children of Corn, where if you're under 18, you have to have a parent there, you have to have a school teacher there, you can only work so many hours, you're not an adult. So that was a bonus. So they knew I was over 18. And I went in and auditioned, and I had just done a play in Chicago called The Innocents. And there's a cool movie based on the old black and white one, where the kid is possessed, and all this dramatic and all this stuff, and she dies. But anyway, so I did that play, and then I love Stephen King. In high school, we would always pass the books back and forth, about here, Carrie, and everything like that. So I had already the hardback copy of Night Shift. And there wasn't a lot in Isaac in there, but whatever it was, it was a boy preacher. They didn't have any boy preachers at night, but I would watch regular preachers, late night TV. Give me your money. Jesus wants your money. And I just came in with that whole thing, and right away, I got called back a couple times, and there was 6 or 7 Isaacs there, and then finally, the next 2 callbacks after that, it was just me and Malachi's. So you never want to get cocky or think, I got this in the back, because you don't. And then Courtney came in, and we're both theater background, and he just grabbed my shirt, and we just went nuts and stuff like that. And then after his audition, I was still there and stuff like that, and I said, whatever, I have to say, he said, this is the guy. So I'm sure it was just his own talent that got it, but I cemented the
Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. So back in the 80s, there was, it still goes on, but now people have to pay to do it. There's these things called showcases where you would invite casting directors and agents, and you feed them cheese and wine, and if they like you, maybe they take your photo and stuff. So Linda Francis came to see me do one of those. So she was really my first casting director fan, and I auditioned for a feature that I got, and then the movie tanked. The movie, they lost the money. But she cast me in that, so then she brought me in for Children of the Corn, and so she was already the cheerleader, the one rooting for me to give me my break. And then the story, I don't know if you've heard the story, but I had this little knife. People now say it's like this, but Jeff Greenberg, who was the reader, who went on to be a huge casting director, who tells people never do this. I pulled this knife on him in the audition. I put it on his throat. He didn't know if it was fake or real. He about wet himself, to tell you the truth. I remember seeing the producer and Fritz out of the corner of our eye look at each other, because I took over. You know what I'm saying? I'm a kid and this is an adult, and I had him by the short hairs at that moment, you know what I'm saying? Now, it's a risk. When you do something crazy like that, it can be like, never audition this actor ever again, he's nuts, you know? But I was hungry, and I was trying to bust into this business, and so I didn't know for sure if I was gonna do it. I had it in my pocket, and I just played the moment. And then I had to come back and read with John, and yeah, I grabbed him by his lapels. I think he was pretty much off his feet, but he was great. He was all in, like you said, he was all in. And so we had chemistry, and here we are 40 years later, so crazy.
Question for John. I just wondered if you had any memories. I'm sorry, this is John. Right, sorry. If you had any memories of reprising the role of Isaac in Children of the Corn 6, and how that came to be. And was there any hesitancy in you to reprise that role? Or?
No. My writing partner and I, for those of you of a certain age, we had a development deal, so we were working for Connie Stevens for like 10 years writing scripts and stuff like that, really getting paid regularly. Only one thing got produced, it was a video series on good parenting. And then the editor messed it all up, so she got the insurance money. But we decided, we wanted to bring Isaac back. We found out we had to figure out who had the rights, because Children Corn rights kept changing, people with different companies. One of my managers was able to make an appointment for us, because she was well known in New York. And we went in and pitched the idea, Isaac's return, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. We were brain dead, we're out of ideas. Thank you, we just cranked out through 5. So they hired us, they said, okay, there's no rush, go off, write whatever you want. So we wrote this whole thing with, Courtney in a mental institution in the beginning, and explosions, and Isaac taking over the world with satellites, and they're like, they read it, like, this is a low-budget movie. What are you doing? Like, you said, write whatever you want. And then they said, okay, go back and write something realistic. And they told us, you can cut a girl in half. We can afford that. You can electrocute somebody with I killed Stacey Keach. It's like, oh, and you have to have a love scene because we need it to be rated R for this, the ratings and for people who want to watch it. So it was like color by number, write by number, and then it turned out better than I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. So. Yeah, a lot better than the previous sequels.
Oh, thank you. Yes. But no, there was no hesitation to bring Isaac back. And we're like, okay, we watched 2 through 5 and go, let's just pretend that nothing's happened. Nothing's ever happened. We'll just go from 1 to 6. I was in a coma for 19 years. I had a son. Yada yada.
What was it like jumping back into that? Not just writing, but like being it again.
Oh, it was so cool because I got to write all my own dialogue again and just re-inhabit that spirit of Isaac. And my favorite line is, "I don't have a soul."
True, John, true. I thought it was only gingers that don't have souls.
Chris, so you've done, horror and different things like that in film, but what is your favorite genre?
That's for all of us?
So the question was, I know you've done horror, but what's your actual favorite genre? Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm a huge horror fan. I'm not gonna lie. But the bottom line, I don't really care about the genre. I care about, can I believe the situation? That for me is the bottom line. Like I use like Charlie's Angels, when the movie starts and they jump out of a helicopter with no parachute, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'm already out of the movie. I'm like, nobody is doing that, Yeah. So to me, that's really the thing, is what's the premise? So as long as I've got that, I can buy into it, I'm in.
I don't know if you want to call it genre, but the most favorite things I've done are musicals live. I was lucky enough to do Oliver with Davy Jones from the Monkees back in the day. In '89, we did 3 months in Florida, and then he brought me back again in 2 months in Seattle. But just the live theater, 8 shows a week, and now I'm like, I'm never doing 8 shows a week again. Because it becomes your whole life. And when you're young, it's fun. And then also, I love comedy. The last comedy I did was Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it was just such a fun experience. And the cast, they were fantastic. They were all Children of the Corn fans. They're like, oh, what's it like to do conventions? Oh my God! They were like, I felt like king for the day. It was just like, and it was like so well run. You're in, boom. I was like, all my scenes, I had 3 or 4 scenes, and I was out by lunch. I was like, what? This is so well run show. It's just really fun to be with one of the wacky cousins.
And we're all here because of horror movies, and at the time, people did horror movies because they were starting out. you know, and, we were cheap. You know, they're just using these unknown actors. You don't have to pay them a lot. It's a horror movie, you know. They make it as cheap as they possibly can, and here we are talking about it, you know. So I am super grateful I got to be in 2 horror movies that I originally really didn't think much of. And then I've done all these serious, you know, movies that nobody thinks much of. But personally, I'm a surfer, born, you know, hardcore. And when I get to be in a movie that has surfing in it and I get to do my own surfing, if it's a studio film, that is my favorite experience. Because it's like just being in, you know, it's like, because I get to do my own stunts. You know, it must be how Tom Cruise feels when he does Mission Impossible. This is going to be cool. I'm going to ride this motorcycle and jump off and like sky, you know, free fall down and pull it. It's like that for me, for surfing. Movies, they have to be studio movies so that I have blockers and people like, you know, filming me. But I love it, so that would be it.
Cool. So if you got a big budget surf movie, then
Yeah,
That's your guy.
all about big budgets.
And you don't have to hire a stunt double
Very
either,
small
right?
movie, very small niche thing. No conventions for surf movies. No.
Hey, you can start them. You can start it.
Yeah.
Do it in Hawaii.
Yeah, where would and then
Be
surfers
surprised. People might show up.
It's not gonna happen. Surfers don't pay money to, you know, for an autograph.
Yeah.
They get autographs for free. Kelly Slater and all those guys have to sign autographs for free. Their brands, you know, sit them at a table. It's like,
Well, there you go. Just get some sponsors. You're in. See, now you already answered the question. You just get sponsors to do it.
Right.
And then you can sign autographs for free. But like they'll have it all sponsored up.
Right. For clothes or what?
I don't know. Figure it out, man.
That's hilarious.
Porn.
These guys invented the horror convention. These guys started out the Corn Boys thing before there were horror conventions.
Yeah, we went to, there's 2 places in Vegas and Chicago where all the people that have the haunted houses go buy all their stuff. We showed up to one in Chicago on our own and we're charging like $10 or something for autographs so we could pay enough for our flights, and we just collected a zillion cards. Then we did like haunted houses and stuff for like how many years?
Like 2 or 3 years, we called it the Corn Boys.
Before there was conventions.
Yeah.
We're old school. Man. We've been
Started
doing this for 20 years.
I would fill out, like, you know, I put our headshots in an envelope and mail it to all these different people. And, you know, we did one in St. Louis where later on the FBI contacted us because the guy took off with all his money.
Wow.
Yeah, we did some pretty crazy shows.
There was one, it was in I think in Indiana, Woody's Bake Shop. And it was, I mean, it was just us. And like, they had a corn maze, and it rained.
And it got rained down. It was terrible.
Nobody
showed.
Nobody showed. I felt so bad.
They paid us and show up and everything. They made nobody showed. But we did other ones that were like huge. That were like Blue Oyster Cult was playing that night after
Yeah.
us. You know, like crazy.
Frank Farm.
Yeah.
Huge.
Huge.
And that Frank Farm in Pennsylvania, really, they paid us a flat fee, which is really nice. But then they gave us all these headshots, black and white, you know, stuff to sign, and it was unlimited signing. So you're like going, oh my God, you're signing thousands.
Literally cramped. My hands cramped. It was just a line, non-stop line for like I don't know 6 hours or something. It was crazy. But it was an amazing experience.
And Courtney only had to sign 2 women's breasts.
2 boobs, couple asses. It was nice to remember.
Nobody asked me.
Did they belong to the same person?
No.
Just wondering. We got time for one more audience question. One more. Anyone got one? Not yet? All right, I'll wrap us up then. So as I said, going back, you guys are veteran actors, very successful, have been in the business for so long. Do you have any tips or tricks for upcoming either actors or filmmakers, writers?
Yeah, I just always tell people, you know, the door can open easy the first time, but if you're not prepared and you go in there and stink it up, it's not going to open easy the second time. So go study, get good at your craft, so when an opportunity shows up, you can rock it. That's my advice.
As an actor, I would say, and I taught high school English for 14 years too. I took a break from acting, and the kids would come up and ask, "How do I break into this show business?" I said, "Do theater first. It's a discipline. It's live. You can't screw up. I mean, you can, but you look like an idiot. But you know, you have to learn your lines, show up on time. You know, be there, be responsible, and you just learn a discipline. Because a lot of actors that I've worked with are just sloppy. They kind of come on and, oh, I can learn my lines. And, you know, it's just
Talk about me like that, John.
I was going to name names, but you know, it's just a discipline. And for writers, I just said, you know, there's no such thing as writer's block. That's BS. Just sit down and write. I've been writing a journal. I've written a young adult novel. I'm going to self-publish it next year called Friend. You see on my table here. Follow me on Instagram, John Franklin Cornboard. And you'll read all around, you'll find out all about it. But also, it's just like I've been writing a journal every night for half an hour for the last 8 or 9 years. And when I'm out on conventions, I bring a yellow legal pad, and I've got so much because we were so busy this year. I'm gonna seriously have to go rent. I've done this last couple of years. Rent a hotel room on the Pacific Ocean, so we're at Pismo Beach. I just bring my laptop so that I can get caught up. Because it's like at home, you got the dog, all the distractions. But I do write every day for half an hour.
And I would say when you're making a movie, probably theater too, but I'm scared to do theater. Everybody's working so hard and working such long hours. Actors are probably the most spoiled person on the set, so you've got to really do your homework, really research your stuff and bring your game. And when you're on the set, be nice to the people that are working so hard. If they think you have an attitude like you're better than they are and they're working 10 times harder and you're not going to impress them, then the set can turn against you. Like you got to be like Tom Hanks. What would Tom Hanks do? That's a good way of thinking about it when you get a job in a movie. How would Tom Hanks handle it?
Amazing. Everyone, give it up.
That was awesome.